Hi, this is Jeng with Old Capital, and I'm here with David.Austin to talk about a new deal that they recently listed called Mercer Park in Arlington, Texas. David, thanks for jumping on the call and maybe give us a little bit of background about yourself and your firm, and then we can jump into this deal.
Yeah, thank you, James. I grew up in Dallas, in East Dallas, so lived locally my whole life. I've been at HFF, which was acquired by JLL on July 1st, so we're now branded JLL, but been at the company for about 8 years now, focusing on Class B and C multifamily in Texas. So to give you a little bit of background about our team, we've sold 15 assets so far this year, totaling a little more than $350 million. We've got 4 under contract, 5 on the market right now. Average deal size is about $24 million. Average price per unit about 108 a door.
All right. So why don't we jump into this deal that you guys, I think, came out last week, Mercer Park over in Arlington. If you want to just give us a little background on the history of the deal and sort of what the seller has done so far and what potential buyers can come in and start doing.
Yeah, sure. So it's 248 units built in 1983 at Pioneer and 360. We actually marketed and sold this property about 2 years ago. On Point is the group that owns it now and is selling. They came in and continued a renovation program that the previous owner had started, as well as converted the property from a RUBS, typical market rate RUBS property, into all bills paid. There also is a LURA on the property, 35% of the units, which there's further upside on. But looking at the aerial here, you are at Pioneer and 360 on the west side of 360, really in central Arlington, right in the epicenter of all the activity. You've got General Motors plant just to the north. They're expanding just across 360 there. You've got the Great Southwest Industrial District, which is more than 90 million square feet and supplies a ton of jobs to the mid-cities area. There's new construction happening in this space along I-20. FedEx, UPS are building new facilities that will house a lot of jobs. You've got the entertainment district to the north, which is the AT&T Cowboy Stadium, Globe Life Park for the Rangers. They're also building their new stadium and a bunch of retail. You've got Six Flags, Hurricane Harbor, a lot of retail surrounding all of that area. And then in addition, University of Texas at Arlington, which has a very large student population now, as well as faculty.
No, that's great. I mean, we have actually financed, I want to say 4 deals just in this little submarket here in the last 12 months. So you see Mercer Park there in red, and then down the street, Belmont Place, which David and his group sold earlier this year. And then 3 other deals. All these deals were, well-occupied deals and qualified for agency debt. And so no issues with this location. And this location has been great sort of in terms of occupancy and rent growth for these owners. So maybe talk about some of the things that the seller has done in the last couple of years to sort of really improve this property.
Yeah, so this owner has spent an extensive amount of money in a pretty short amount of time. They've spent about $2 million. And the bottom right corner there, you see kind of a typical upgrade. This is a little bit of the previous owner's upgrade. They're now expanding on it and adding, new cabinet fronts. They're doing black appliances. They're doing energy efficient water faucets. But in addition to continuing that interior value add program, they've done a lot on the exterior too. So they're installing perimeter gates around the property. They've completely replaced the fence around the exterior. They've spent around $100,000 on new landscaping. They've put in a pet park and completely knocked out the clubhouse. It looks really sharp.
And then you can see in some of these pictures, or most of them, sort of the new windows that they put in. So that's a nice upgrade for sort of a 1980s property. So here's a little bit more detail of what they've done. So you mentioned some of the energy efficiency stuff. Anything else here that you want to point out?
Yeah, so they do have a pretty full amenity set. The one that they're lacking is a fitness center. There's a great place on the property where you could add that amenity and round out your amenity base there. Most all of the units do have washer dryer connections. The A1 is the only floor plan that doesn't. So there's opportunity to supply those sets to those units and charge a premium for that. I mentioned earlier there is a LURA on the property. About 35% of the units, 88 in total, fall under that. 50 of them are 50% of area median income, and 38 are 80%. And so there's opportunity there to get those units up to the cap, as well as start charging back utilities for some of those units, because right now they're just paying rent when they can be charged utilities in addition to that. They are going through a lot of energy conservation and have done a lot of that work. So some of the big ticket items being new HVAC units, they've done 76 of those. So those are brand new 410A, high energy efficient systems. They replaced all the windows with Energy Star double pane windows. That's every single unit is done already. They've started going in and replacing LED lights on the interiors. They're about halfway through that. And then they've done water conservation as well. So in addition to shower heads, faucets, they've also replaced all of the toilets with 0.8 gallon toilets. And then they came in and sprayed insulation in all the attics as well. So their mindset is to really focus on utility reductions, and they think that there's still a lot of opportunity left in that space to do even more. So in addition to kind of those big tickets, they've done some, they've done new gutters and downspouts, enhanced, a lot of the landscaping around the property and improved the curb appeal. But there's still quite a bit more opportunity left.
I mean, it's pretty remarkable how much they've done so far. Most of the time, this list of CapEx is pretty sparse for some owners. So this is a pretty extensive list, which is great. So I guess the question people are going to have is, so if I come in and buy this deal, what's the upside for me as a new buyer? And so we put some rent comps together, and so maybe walk through sort of, maybe what they're getting on upgrades, and then how does that compare to maybe some deals in that surrounding area?
Yeah, so the top of the left there just shows a breakdown of the unit mix. So all the unit types that have a U have been upgraded. So the in-place rent, including utilities, because it is all bills paid, is $961 or $122 per square foot. The national average for utility consumption in apartments nationally is 21 cents per square foot. So if you back out that amount, that brings you to about $1 in place. And so there's a couple different ways that we look at rent comps when we put together a pitch or an offering memorandum. And the first would be on the right, where we just look at kind of a traditional rent comp set. The best comp that we feel relates to Mercer Park would be Felix. This traded a few months ago, was called Cypress Club. That is a very similar property to Mercer Park. It's got a LURA on it as well. The unit sizes are very similar. The unit mix is very similar. And so this is really, really a strong comp for Mercer Park. So one thing to note when you're looking at the rents there, that does not include a utility adjustment. So the box in red there, we've made a $150 adjustment to Felix's rents to try to compare apples to apples. And so if you look compare that, 1189 asking rent of a renovated unit at Felix to in place at Mercer, there's a little over $220 of growth potential. And so that's a great case study to use when you're, doing your underwriting. The bottom left there, the summary that's rent growth opportunity, this is really a floor plan analysis where we go look at, 7-8 different comps, and we group them by similar size units to look at how much opportunity there is left for a new owner to push rents within that submarket. And that shows about $150 of rent growth potential. So both ways you slice it, there's a lot of opportunity to push rents as they're below market in relation to their comp set.
Oh, no, that's great. So you have the traditional value add of pushing rents. Any other ways that you could see maybe helping on the other income side, or even on the potentially on the expense side?
Yeah, so the kind of traditional value add there, 2/3 of the units are already renovated to the level we saw on the previous page. But in addition to kind of your standard value add, we think there's a lot of opportunity through other income to push your gross income. So, installing washer dryer sets and all the units that have connections, doing yards off the first floor patios and charging a premium, adding more carports. The carports are very full, so adding more of those. And then adding, a package locker and charging residents to use that system could add a significant amount of additional income. And then while a lot of utility conservation has already been done, there's still a lot more that could be done. This owner is really on the cutting edge of utility conservation. Most groups and owners have heard of the typical, toilet, shower heads, insulation, those kind of big ticket items, but there's several more processes that are in place at the property that we can talk to you more about over the phone or through a property tour and walk you through additional ways to save.
Okay, great. So I pulled out just sort of the historical cash flows and then compared that to your year one, just to give people an idea of, if I implement some of these changes, how does my pro forma look? So maybe talk through the impact of these changes.
Yeah. So the biggest or one of the biggest ways we're seeing value creation in this space is through pushing market rents and getting the in-place rents up to market. So burning off that loss to lease and getting closer to, where some of the similarly renovated comps like the Felix are asking rent. And then, other income, which we talked about on the previous page. And then real estate taxes is one area that this owner has also focused on a lot. And so by converting to an all bills paid model, they are making the case to the tax authority that they should be compared to other all bills paid properties. Okay. And so they have made that argument and won with Tarrant County. And so their 2018 assessment came out around $19 million. They were actually able to reduce that to $13 million.
Wow.
And so if a new owner keeps operating this property as an all bills paid property, you can continue to reap the benefits of that operation system. And so we're whispering $95,000 a door, about $23.5 million for this property. And if you look at a cap rate off in-place taxes, which is where they should stay within reason, you get about a 6.6 cap. And so you have really, really strong in-place yield that you should get, great agency financing.
Yeah, so we put, thank you, David. So we put historicals on there, whisper price of about 23.5, and, essentially came out with a new loan of about 18 million. And that was, non-green, was about 4%. And then if you were able to spend some more money to get the green, it would be even lower, maybe 20 basis points lower than that, with 3 to 5 years interest only. And so when you look at a net rental, we did T3 annualized on this deal, other income of T12, 3% management fee, and then G&A we are at $350 a door. Payroll we did $1,000 a unit, and then utilities, water and sewer we're at T12, R&M at $600 a door, insurance at $350 a door, and in taxes. So this 18 million is based off of 80% of the purchase price. So a lot of these appraisals that we're getting back, it would probably fall in between, right? So they had to protest the 2018 number to get it down to 13 million. So the 2019 is still in process, but it would fall in between probably that 315,000 and the 491 that we have shown here. So we would push probably to get that as low as possible within reason. So you could even get more proceeds than the 18 million. But right now that's probably north of 75% on the purchase price, which is a strong Fannie Mae loan. I guess, David, have you guys set a call for offers date, or what's the best way for people to reach out to you as well?
Yeah, through phone or email, whatever is easiest. That and we can set up property tours. We haven't set an official offer date yet. That'll probably be in about 4 weeks. So mid September, second or third week of September most likely. But reach out and we can walk through the deal in more detail or go set up a property tour.
Is there anything that we missed, David? This deal has, I think, a lot of opportunity. So anything else that we maybe should have touched on, or just wrap it up for us?
I think we covered all the high points, but we'd love to talk in more detail directly.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks a lot, David.
Thanks, James.